When my mother told me, "Don't come home again," something inside me froze. She didn't shout it. She didn't cry. She just said it calmly, coldly, like I wasn't her child but a burden she was finally done carrying. So I packed one small bag, a few clothes, a toothbrush, and the last pieces of a childhood that no longer belonged to me. I thought that was the end. I thought I'd disappear quietly, but by sunrise, the police were pounding on her door, and everything she tried to hide finally came out. I was 17 the night my mother told me not to come home. It wasn't the first argument we'd ever had, but it was the first time she looked at me like I was a stranger. Like she was tired of pretending we were a family. It started with something small. It always does. I came home late from a school event. Nothing wild, nothing rebellious, just a small art exhibition I had worked on for months. When I stepped inside, the house was dark, except for the kitchen light. My mother was sitting at the table, hands clasped, eyes hollow. "You're late," she said. "I told you I had the exhibition." I replied quietly. "You always have excuses." It didn't matter what I said. She had already decided the tone, the ending, the punishment. Our relationship was a collection of unspoken bruises, not physical, but the kind you carry in your chest, heavy and invisible. "You don't appreciate anything," she snapped. "You make everything harder. If you're so grown, then go live your big life out there." I stared at her, confused. "Mom, what are you talking about?" And then she said it, the sentence that cut deeper than anything I'd ever heard. "Don't come home again." Just like that, like I meant nothing, like 17 years could be erased with 8 words. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just felt something inside me go quiet. I walked to my room, grabbed my small backpack, stuffed a few clothes inside, slipped my sketchbook into the pocket, and left. I slept on a bench outside a closed cafe. The night was cold, and my heart felt even colder. I kept checking my phone even though I knew she wouldn't call. She never did. But what I didn't know was that while I was trying to disappear, someone else was watching. Our neighbor, Mrs. Hall, an elderly woman who had known us for years. She had seen everything. She had heard more than anyone realized, and that night, she made a phone call. The next morning, while I sat on the sidewalk waiting for the bus to start running, I saw a police car drive past. I didn't think much of it. Town cops patrolled often. But then another car, and another. They all turned onto my street. Curiosity tugged at me. Fear tugged harder. But something inside me needed to know. I walked back, slowly, each step heavier than the last. When I reached our house, the scene didn't make sense at first. 2 officers were knocking on the door. Another stood beside them, and my mother, pale, shaking, opened it. I stood far enough away that she didn't see me, but close enough to hear every word. "Ma'am," the officer said. "We received a call about a minor being thrown out of the house." My mother stuttered. "What? No. I would never." Mrs. Hall stepped forward from her porch. "I heard everything," she said firmly. "I saw the child leave with a bag. She told her not to come back." My mother's mask cracked. "She's lying. My child is just being dramatic. She's probably at a friend's house. She does this for attention." Attention. I had never asked for anything. Not even love. Just peace. "Where is your child now, ma'am?" the officer asked. My mother froze. "Exactly," Mrs. Hall whispered. "She doesn't know." The officers asked to come inside. She protested, but they insisted. And that's when the truth began spilling out like water through broken glass. Not about me, but about her. Unpaid taxes, unreported income from her side business, a forged signature on a guardianship form, a neighbor's report about hearing unusual yelling for months. Every secret she buried was swept out into the light. One officer stepped aside to speak softly into his radio. Another checked the paperwork on the counter. My mother's voice trembled. I didn't mean it. I didn't mean to tell her not to come back." The officer replied coldly. "Whether you meant it or not, you abandoned a minor." "A minor? Me?" For the first time, the reality hit me like a blow to the chest. I wasn't a burden. I wasn't dramatic. I was a kid who had never been protected, only tolerated. Then one officer stepped outside to scan the street. His eyes found me. "You," he called gently. "Are you the daughter?" I felt my legs shake, but I nodded. "Come here. You're safe." Safe. A word I hadn't felt in years. My mother saw me then and panic filled her face. Not with love, but with fear of consequences. "Oh, thank God, you're okay," she cried suddenly, pretending to reach for me. I didn't move. Not a step. The officer positioned himself between us. She clearly didn't feel safe returning home. He said, We'll be making a report. Social services will handle placement. My mother's face crumpled. She wasn't losing me, she was losing control. As they took statements, I noticed Mrs. Hall watching me with soft eyes. She approached slowly. "You deserved better than what you got," she whispered. "You always have." She offered her porch, then her kitchen, then her guest room, whatever I needed, not because she wanted something, but because she cared. That day, for the first time, someone chose me. I stayed with her for weeks. A warm bed, hot meals, quiet mornings filled with the sound of birds instead of shouting. Social services opened a case. School counselors stepped in. The investigation into my mother grew deeper: financial fraud, child abandonment, emotional neglect. Months later, she faced charges, not because I wanted revenge, but because truth has consequences. I visited her once, when everything was nearly finalized. She sat across from me at a small office table. Her eyes were tired, her voice was small. "I didn't think you'd actually leave," she murmured. I swallowed, looking down at my hands. "You told me to." She blinked hard, swallowing her regret. I didn't mean it. I met her eyes then, maybe for the first time. "Words matter," I said softly, "and mine never mattered to you." She didn't argue. She couldn't. I stood up, breathing lighter. I wasn't angry anymore. I wasn't broken. I was free. I walked out, back to the life I was building with people who cared, with choices that were mine, with a future my mother never imagined for me. She pushed me out of her home, and unknowingly pushed me into a better life. By morning, the police were at her door. By evening, I wasn't her burden anymore. I was my own beginning. If you've ever been pushed out, rejected, or made to feel unwanted, let this story remind you. Sometimes, the door that closes behind you isn't a punishment, it's a rescue. Life has a way of pulling you away from places you were never meant to shrink in. If this story touched your heart, stay. Subscribe for more stories of strength, healing, and the power of choosing yourself. Your next chapter might start with one brave step, just like this one.